Sup guys, so part 3 of my tier list, aka my opinions are weird, I know, but let me explain them because I've been playing Smash competitively for over 10 years and I think I know a good bit of what I'm talking about. Let's get right into it. So this part of the tier list, true mid tier, is still technically like lower portion of the cast because the next two tiers have a lot more characters in it. But this is kind of the portion of the cast where I describe them all as pretty functional characters that you can use as like solo mains for the most part. They're just lacking compared to competitor characters. Either their strengths aren't strong enough, or they're not versatile enough, or their weaknesses are a bit too exploitable, or there's a bit too many of them. But like, they can be compensated for in the case of most of these characters outside of... Oftentimes with these characters have like a couple top tier matchups that are just borderline unwinnable. A lot of times it's Palutena or Pikachu actually. But anyway, let's get into this. So, starting off, we have Mii Swordfighter. And this is a character that is really, really obnoxious. And has a few things that just kind of like put this character over the top and make this character not a low tier. That tornado move, absurd. It's a transcendent projectile, it gives you combo confirms. Really big. Some characters can't punish it properly. The Chalk Room, the side B, like the extra saw got used, creates insane combos as well. Great for ledge trapping, great for shield pressure. It's hard to approach those moves, and when you're in the corner or at the ledge, dealing with those moves is really annoying. If you're a slower character, it's annoying. And like, because of the down B that's a projectile reflect, or a counter depending on what you want to do for the matchup, it's not easy to like camp this character out. You might not be able to mash in this character easily. And like, even when you're in this character's face, basically it's a bit annoying. Add in a decent down tilt, just nice big sword hitboxes that arc well. Frame data is not that great, but it's usable. Combined with the fact this character is kind of small, so that's a big benefit. And then finally, all three up Bs are useful. The Link up B is great for combo kill confirms out of the neutral B, the tornado. The up B should kind of like rises very fast is a really good outshot option for characters that press you hard and can't like do it too well though. And then like the Fox up B is actually a pretty good recovery. It has these very nice hitboxes, comes out pretty fast, goes decently far. So this character is very versatile and just has a complete yet slightly underwhelming zoning spacing game that relies almost entirely on forcing approaches and keep people out and pressuring them over and over, which it works. It's just their characters do better. Alright, Toon Link. Toon Link is the character where if they gave this character like 2% more damage on all of his normals, he would actually be a high tier character, I think. This character's neutral is actually really solid. Right? Good projectiles everywhere, big mobility, small, frame data is pretty solid. His hitboxes on his normals are very lackluster. He doesn't feel like a swordy at all. So don't treat him like a swordy in terms of like playing him. But it's fine enough because of his frame data. Means he can like generally like get up close and just mash versus people. And yeah, his main issue is just that he's not scary. Like, he has like, you know, his 0 to 40 is a low percent with like some grounded tilts. He has like bomb confirms for like 20% and like some arrow like follow-ups, boomerang follow-ups. But nothing insane. Like, he's not gonna 0 to like 60U, 0 to 80U without like a lot of good reads. He's not gonna get like these crazy seps and kill you like mid-stage at like 80 unless he's super hard at playing you. His edge guarding is good for sure, but it isn't like broken enough. And then his ledge trapping, it's alright, but it's also not quite broken enough to like carry him for lacking damage. And then his kill power, he has a few good kill moves, but overall, a lot of his decent kill moves are even then underwhelming. Like, I feel like his up smash looks stronger than it is, same with his back throw, same even with his forward air, and his up B, and like everything just seems so undertuned for this character. Combine that with a recovery that, since it's like a Link style recovery, it's not that great. It's probably the best of the three because of his air mobility being really good, but still is exploitable. Ledge game is awkward, he has trouble landing a little bit, and he ends up just having an issue where fast characters that can rush him down are a really big problem. Swordies can be annoying because they can like punch through his projectiles, he gets outranged easily. Even heavyweights, you know, you should beat them. He could just lose one exchange and lose stocks, whereas he has to win neutral so much more than other people. to like actually take the stocks. And you're gonna find yourself constantly neutral with this character and still struggling to close out stocks in games because of his under 2 numbers. And he has decent results. In Japan, I think Hayato, Sigma, I forget the third one, do really well with him overall. And they have some other Toon Links like 3XA do well with him. So he has decent results too. Alright, Ice Climbers. This is the like lab monster character. This is a character that some people argue, hey, is a high tier character. And I can understand where that's coming from, because when you lab this character out and get like really good at like those big combos, the crazy like on block like setups that just guarantee short breaks and pokes and whatever, the 0 deaths, the desync, the ledge trapping, all this stuff, insane. But that's kind of all the character has going for him. Outside of a couple key moves like side B being really good, down B being pretty good, the character just lacks everywhere else. You know, Nana's AI is, comparing it to a 5-year-old, will be an insult to anyone that's ever been born. It's so bad. They fixed some issues with it in the most recent patch, where you can like up B when like Nana's in tumble, but it's still not gonna help the fact that Nana could just be killed by herself so easily if you can separate them for even a second. Not help the fact that they can ledge trap easily. They have bottom 5 mobility overall in the game with horrible air and ground speed. Hitboxes are small. Their frame data is good, but like, come by the fact that they're kind of lightweight character that's very unreliable, you just end up having a character that might be high tier and super optimized, but I don't think is ever going to be worth the effort to put into that. So it ends up just being a character where it's like dedicated players make them work, and everyone else just stay far away from this character, because you're still just gonna like get outclassed by good characters. Alright, I've made a lot of videos on Steve on this channel already, so I'm gonna go over everything despite being the newest character. I'll just say that when you have a character with insane frame data and combo ability on like a good amount of the moves with insane frame data, and then pretty good kill moves, the character can't be bad. So I definitely underrated the character a little bit first. With that said, bad mobility is always a problem. The resource scheme he has, I feel like his resource mechanic like is a bit too undertuned with how much he gets versus uses. So he ends up burning his like most valuable things, and he's almost not a character without iron out. You know, when he starts to match with wood, it's decent. Like, he really wants to get like those gold and diamond weapons before he becomes a really good character. His ledge trapping and edge guarding can be oppressive, but he himself can be edge guard. He can be juggled very easily. His anti-air options are all very committal, so he has a lot of trouble with just people jumping over him. So he can like force you to approach with blocks. A lot of characters can kind of deal with that. And this character ends up being in like high-low matches a character where he kind of relies on getting like his massive like 0 to 70s and his like really powerful edge guards going, because he's not going to be able to reliably out like neutral most characters otherwise. Like, his range isn't enough, his mobility stinks, and yeah, he's just a slightly lacking character that is not awful, but is easily undertuned in my opinion. Alright, Robin. Robin is like a 6-button character. With this said, he has 6 really good buttons. 11 air, up air, forward air, back air, his side B and his neutral B are all insanely good moves. Absolutely, like, you'd want them on almost any other character level of good moves. The problem is the rest of his moves are not that good. Like, most of them are either situational or just not good. Like, almost all of his ground moves, including the smashes, actually not including the smashes, all of his like tilts, jab, dash attack, all situational or just not that good. Smashes, you know, hard read moves like punishes when someone's in a side B, or you get parry or something, but you can't just spam them obviously. His grab, really bad grab game overall. Commando being a very slow character. And it's like, alright, you got a few good moves, that's fine, but then, because there's a resource mechanic, with 11 sword, when he loses it, he doesn't have as good normals, he's just not a character. If he loses his side B, he can't ledge trap you that well anymore. Even his neutral's not that scary. If he loses his neutral B, he can't like zone you out anymore. He can't restop like just quick pressure on the ground. You know, he can pick up the items, which is amazing. Making his own items is absurd. But it doesn't do enough to compensate for that. And the fact that his mobility is bad, his recovery is bad, and he kind of just gets slapped in disadvantage. Which really, really hurts. And he overall feels like a character where, because you have such a limited set of good moves, it's a lot of how you space your moves to find this big damage and kill power. But you're a very predictable character when you're playing Robin, and you have to do a lot of work to mix it up and like be very precise in your conversions. And while he has had decent results, there's just better characters. Characters that are more reliable, don't have like these resource mechanics that hold him back. Alright, Falco. Falco is a great example of a character where he's good at one thing, and that is comboing you. Like, when he gets his combos going, it looks like a Marvel vs. Capcom game. But everything else he has, subpar. Recovery basically is carried by his double jump height, so if you burn his double jump, his recovery is bad. Lightweight character, hitboxes are not good overall, and he doesn't have disjoints or anything to compensate for it. His frame data is decent, but it's not particularly amazing except for the up tilt being absurd. Laser's an okay projectile that annoys people but doesn't do much. His edge guarding is pretty good because of fair and air. Downer is also solid. So that's nice. But it isn't like super ridiculous. It even has like juggling. I mean, I know much up tilt's good, but it doesn't like make juggling free from or anything. And he just kind of relies on like landing his big combos, and like it's kind of like Steven, that you need to find your big combos and like exploit them. Luckily, he has decent mobility overall, and he has a good amount of tools to get those combos, with combos out grab, tilts, aerials. His side B can lead to some combos despite being risky. And he did get buffed last patch, or no, it was 2 patches ago, which helped him out a bit by buffing his side B. I think they buffed his down and they buffed his up smash. And it's all nice. You have like decent results with Larry, but really, I don't see much reason to play this character. Just because I feel like he doesn't offer much, but he doesn't. His weaknesses luckily aren't that bad. Like, his neutral is below par, but it's not awful. His recovery, because of his double jump being so good, it's decent enough. Frame data is alright. Projectile is still pretty good despite it being like not amazing. And he's a character with like one really good strength and just no atrocious weaknesses otherwise that can't be compensated for. Alright, Pichu. I know this one's about to make people go, Dabuz, what's wrong with you? Let me say, this is not the Smash Ultimate that we got when like this game released, right? Metas changed a lot, characters changed a lot, patches. And I feel like Pichu is a character who actively works against himself, which is obvious because he hurts himself when using attacks. But like, combined with his nerfs and almost every character getting buffs that are pretty significant, Pichu just feels underwhelming. Like, his mobility is great, his combo is great, like, he can set up kills very easily, he has great edge guarding too. But winning neutral is so hard with all the projectile characters in this game, characters with really good frame data and bigger hitboxes, massive swords, and the fact that he's so light, he can't afford to take trades. You know, he can't afford to make the match go on long either because he hurts himself in a game with lots of really good defensive playing characters that force you to swing a lot to try and find openings. Combine that with an up B that can be challenged pretty easily because there's no hitbox, so it's not that threatening. And you have this character that, like, he doesn't feel like he fits Ultimate. Like, on paper, he's a really good character. And if this is like Melee, for example, or even Smash 4, I think he'd be fine. But I think with how he play Ultimate, he just struggles with that kind of, like, mash buttons, trade a lot. And most characters have these really insane damage combos or good kill power or really good advantage state playstyle that, like, punishes a character that's already super glass cannon like he is. And he doesn't quite... He has a bit too much trouble getting to play his canon game in Ultimate compared to other characters who have, like, also really big combo games but have better neutrals to compensate, like, to also work with that. And characters who can just kind of play a slower game finding their openings without hurting themselves. while being the lightest character in the game, with very little range. Yeah, I don't think Pichu's that good. Alright, Villager. Villager is a weird character, actually. He doesn't seem that bad, but there are some matchups for him that just seem awful at the same time. Like, characters with big swords seem just awful for him. Characters that can put a lot of pressure on him seem awful. And that's mostly because he relies a lot on using his forward air and back air, which, since it's like a kind of thin projectile on a character with not that great movement speed, means there's a lot of counterplay to it. And then the rest of his buttons are good, but they kind of are all glued together by forward air and back air, and side B, I guess. So the characters that deal with forward air and back air well can be really annoying. And he doesn't really feel like he's particularly strong anywhere. Also, like, he feels like he's a very well-rounded, like, close mid-range zoner who sets up traps. You know, he has decent, like, weight, you know, small character, good recovery, good edge guarding, juggling, disadvantage state, setups, but nothing stands out as, like, this carries the character in any way. And I feel like in Ultimate, you really need that. Otherwise, you're playing an uphill battle. Like, you're playing a too honest game. That's how I would describe Villager. And I know someone's about to say, oh, but Axe and forward smash. And yeah, it's pretty dishonest. But I don't think he sets it up nearly as well as other characters set up their dishonest stuff. So he's just a solid character. Alright, Wii Fit Trainer. This character is weird. This character, when she breathes, is a problem. When she's ledge trapping you, it can be really annoying. Her damage output is absolutely bonkers. So can her kill power be. But man, her hitboxes do not do her anything. Like, her hitboxes might be the worst in the game, tied with Pichu. But even then, I think hers are worse because she's also a tall character with, like, these very not good hitboxes. Combined with the fact that, like, she has good projectile game for sure. Breathing is nice. Her ability is very nice. That all works out for her. But it's, like, weird that she's kind of like the zoner character who doesn't have the normals to zone, but instead has normals to, like, punish and pressure, and then ability to make it work. But then, like, specials that don't feel like they work in tandem with that. And I think there's, like, a lot of different playstyles for Wii Fit as a result, which is nice because it means she's versatile. But it's not nice, and that feels like her kit doesn't flow well together. And because of how reliant she is on multiple, like, setup moves, she relies a bit on having, like, charge roots or bees to kind of stop people from approaching it freely. She relies on having deep breathing up to be, like, a scary character. She relies on having free space to set up her side B to, like, go for crazy pressure setups. And because she has so many things that require time to work with, in a game with everyone running at you or mashing buttons or throwing projectiles, it's rare to get that time. And I think she just plays at a slightly too slow pace compared to what you want in Ultimate. Combined with Ultimate got not the best hitboxes. And you have a character that, yeah, is almost really good, but not quite there. And finally, Banjo. Banjo is... I almost put him in the tier above, but I decided not to. He has really interesting stuff. Like, he has some really good buttons. Like, most of his normals actually pretty good. He's a heavyweight character who's kind of small. He has a good grab game. His projectile game is, I think, funny enough, I think it's one of the weaker parts of him, despite him being, like, a kind of zoner, like, brawler character. Like, his eggs can lead to good damage, and they can be really annoying. But they feel like they lack compared to more spammable projectiles. Grenades are kind of like a setup projectile, but it takes a while to set them up, so you have good steps with them, you can definitely outplay them, people with them. But they don't feel as good as you'd expect them to be. One with off mobility, and probably his biggest weakness is he relies on Wonder Wing a lot. Like, he needs Wonder Wing to get his big damage generally, he needs to get, like, his very early kills, but he also needs it for edge guarding, escaping recovering, escaping disadvantage, just catch me off guard with, like, anything super scary. And It's a punishable move though, unless you're using it to like get to the ledge. It's pretty punishable, so it's a big risk to use. And it thinks that his biggest payoff requires a big risk. And if he runs out of Wonder Wings, he's just a garbage character at stock. Like, he goes from being like upper, like mid-tier character, the middle of the mid-tier, to just a bottom or low-tier character without Wonder Wings available in his stock. So that means he's a resource that works against him, honestly. Considering the move itself isn't busty enough, surprisingly, to only have 5 uses. And this character, I think this character has some decent success, but nothing crazy, especially higher level. Because of these weaknesses, and because you want to play a zoner or brawler, there are significantly better options in Ultimate, because there's a lot of characters that have good zoning, but also good like close range options. And yeah, that is part 3 of my tier list. Hope you guys liked it, like my explanations. It all makes sense. Tell me how much you guys hate the fact that I put Pichu as a mid-tier in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you next video.